I can only be saddened by the beginning of hostilities.
The Secretary General saying he was saddened by hostilities. He also sounded a bit upset that he was not informed. He does not seem to be terribly informed in advance about this by the United States. As for action by the Council, we expect the United States to probably brief members of the Council on what it is doing. The ambassador from Cuba, which was one of the two countries that voted against the use of force resolution, as he left the building a few minutes ago, he said that Cuba would try to get the Council to do something to stop this war, although there's not much the Council can do. After all, it was the Council that authorized this action. And a CNN crew a short time ago went to the Iraqi mission to the UN to see what kind of response they would have at this early time in the hostilities. Someone merely closed the door on CNN people saying no, no, no. It was interesting, actually, when word of this started to come through here at the UN, filter out here at the UN. It wasn't confirmed. I happened to be near some of the Iraqi delegations, some of the lower level people that were sitting in the UN, and I told them what we had heard, that the hostilities were starting. They were serious, calm about it, and they simply at that point thought it probably wasn't true. Well, it is true. The Kuwaiti ambassador, by the way, welcomed the attack and said he wished victory to the U.S.-led operation. I'm Jeannie Mose reporting live from the United Nations.
Thank you, Jeannie. I might make note now for our viewers that we have temporarily lost contact with Baghdad. I don't wish to alarm anyone. We did expect to have this come in and out. But our three correspondents, Bernard Shaw, Peter Arnett, and John Holloman, are there in the Al Rashid Hotel. We expect to, and we hope to be bringing you some more of their reports later. The NATO foreign ministers have announced an emergency meeting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. They will be meeting at their headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. That comes 1/2 hour after the meeting here in Washington with the nation on television of President Bush, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States, addressing the United States on what has been called by United States officials Operation Desert Storm, wave after wave of Allied planes attacking tonight the city and capital of Baghdad. Let's go now for an update to the Pentagon and Wolf Blitzer.
David, here at the Pentagon, we are broadcasting now from the CNN office at the Pentagon. They're getting the studio in the Pentagon ready for a briefing in about 1 hour, shortly after the President's address to the nation. They're getting it ready for a briefing by the Secretary of Defense, Dick Cheney, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Colin Powell. I want to reiterate what you said. The loss of communications, hopefully only temporarily, from Baghdad should not necessarily be a source of great alarm. For days, Pentagon officials have been telling us here at CNN that in this initial airstrike, once it happens, the U.S. will be zapping most of Iraq with so much electronic jamming equipment, so many electronic signals, that almost all of the communications, telephone, satellite, everything else, certainly television, almost everything is going to go out very, very quickly. It was a high priority target for the U.S. military, not necessarily to go after civilian targets, but to make sure that all of the command and communications facilities in and around Baghdad, certainly in Basra in the south of Iraq, closer to Kuwait, all of that would be knocked out. The major reason being that the 540,000 Iraqi troops in and around Kuwait, what's called the Kuwaiti Theater, Kuwait and southern Iraq, that they would be isolated from command headquarters, from the bunkers where presumably Saddam Hussein personally is giving orders. So I just wanted to reiterate that we should not be overly alarmed by the loss of communications, and we should not be surprised if those communications with Baghdad are derailed, at least for the duration, at least for the time being. Let me also say that this airstrike is an airstrike. We have no indications that any U.S. land forces have actually moved in to liberate Kuwait. It has always been assumed that it would be several days, maybe even a week or two, could be longer, before any of those ground forces would be used. Certainly the initial reports reaching the Pentagon from CENTCOM, Central Command Headquarters in Riyadh, from General Norman Schwarzkopf, the commander of Operation Desert Shield, those initial reports appear to be very favorable as far as the U.S. is concerned. The orchestrated U.S. airstrike with all of the targets, the Scud missile bases, the anti-aircraft facilities, all of the Iraqi air bases, anything that could endanger the invading U.S. Air Force and the Navy fighters, all of that would be destroyed in this initial airstrike. David?
Wolf, thank you very much. It is 8:37 in the East. President Bush addresses the nation at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Just moments ago, the White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater described the president as calm, expectant, very matter-of-fact. He has been watching the first reports of the action which he initiated. We're going now to New York. The financial markets are reacting. Certainly there have been some jiggles in the oil markets. Bill Hartley reports now from New York.
Well, David, the outbreak of war is, of course, dominating world financial markets at this hour. Japan's stock market, though, down only very slightly in morning trading. Apparent relief that something has finally happened. Nikkei average is off just over 75 points. That's about a third of a percentage point. Oil prices are rising right now on fears of what war will do to Middle Eastern fields, but spot traders say there are very few buyers or sellers. The quoted range is anywhere from $7 to $12 a barrel, higher than closing New York prices. That would put a barrel of light sweet crude just over the $40 mark. And the dollar is sinking against most major currencies, off 1 1/4 yen against the Japanese currency, falling about 2 pfennigs on the German mark and 1 1/4 cent on the British pound. We'll be following other markets in Asia and Europe through the night. David?
Bill Hartley reporting from the financial desk in New York. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to report that we can go back to Baghdad now and our 3 correspondents there. Let's see who picks up the phone.
Yes, this is Peter Arnett here. We're just temporarily off the air. There has been a lull for about 15, 20 minutes now. There has not been one tracer bullet in the sky. We don't see any more bombing in the distance, so for the time being anyway, it is quiet. I'll give you over to Bernie Shaw.
Thank you, Peter. Just to explain to our viewers why you did not hear from us for a nervously long time. For the past 20 minutes, I've been hiding under a table, and what happened was the security people made a sweep. They got very upset that there were 3 mortals on this floor, just 3 men standing in a hotel room. So I scampered to hide to make sure that if they pulled Arnett and Holloman out and took them downstairs into custody, at least there would still be one CNN person on the air. John?
I did the same thing you did, Bernie, only I hid under a bed, and it's amazing that somebody as large as I am can get under a bed that close to the ground, but I was able to do it at least, and the situation here now is, you know, the Iraqi authorities now know that we're here, and I don't know that they've been able to tell, I don't know whether there's satellite dishes that are tuned to CNN work in the blackout conditions.
I'm concerned that we not be summarily picked off one by one, so I'm going to yield the microphone to you, John, and to you, Peter, and I'm going to go back and hide under this table, not because I'm fearful of what's happening outside in the air, but I want to be sure that if there's another sweep, if you two get picked off, at least one of us will be here, and perhaps it might be a good idea to rotate this.
Sure, good idea, Bernie.
I'd like to assure our viewers the hotel security men were amiable. They let me stay. They understood. I explained that I didn't tell them we were reporting live from this hotel room, but I did say